At time of recording, both Microsoft and Sony have unleashed various lists of specifications onto the world about the Xbox Series X and the PS5, with fans everywhere preparing for another generation of fruitless fighting over which one is truly better. Honestly though, would you ever have it any other way? And though personally I know I'll end up buying both eventually, let's spotlight what Sony and various industry insiders like Epic's Tim Sweeney are already calling a real game changer, the PlayStation 5. Sony's approach to showing things off across the last few months has been kinda cryptic and piecemeal, but we can glean some key pieces of information that are mighty exciting indeed. From subtle but effective changes to the iconic controller, to a solid-state drive so rapid it will change the very way games are made. I'm Scott from WhatCulture.com and this is the PS5, 8 ways it will change gaming forever. Number 8, ray tracing on home consoles. Something you didn't even know you needed, how to do light better than ever. As we all saw with the gorgeous Unreal Engine 5 demo, once you see next generation lighting tech, you can't help but want it in everything. Simply put, ray tracing is a rendering technique which traces rays or paths of light as pixels in an image plane. By tracing the path of light and what that light interacts with, you can simulate far more realistic lighting, akin to what you would find outdoors, wherever that is. Until now, we've used a lot of approximations, as well as straight up trickery, to give the illusion of realistic lighting. Everything from volumetric lighting or God rays to hand placing spotlights in a scene to make things look like a real world setting. Ray tracing allows for an all new level of believability in intricately lit areas, taking care of reflections and ambient lighting whether your game is in a realistic style or not. Number 7, a voice assistant in your controller that's always listening. One of the more interesting patents that Sony has filed isn't turning heads for the right reasons. In fact, it's kinda worrying as it ties in the moment frustration and searching for help while playing into the console, linking you directly to a microtransaction storefront depending on the game. Hey look, the article's called 8 ways the PS5 is gonna change gaming forever. Not all of them are going to be good. For now though, thankfully we can take this with a pinch of salt, as it's still in the patent stage. It's very much worth talking about though, as Google Stadia has the always listening tech built in as well. Referred to as an in-console Siri-like assistant which personalizes help to gamers, diagrams provided to the World Intellectual Property Organization show that tailored assistance actually includes offering microtransactions. The patent even shows a child getting frustrated at a tough section of a game, asking the microphone for help, and a voice replying that 80% of players like you defeated the boss using resource X, then asking the player if they would like to buy said resource as a microtransaction. As you can tell, this could either be super helpful, or it's the next Battlefront 2 online gambling casino for kids controversy. This patent might never see the light of day, especially given everything that's happened, but what do you think? Is a future where microtransactions are handled on the console side super helpful, or would it just be the most abused thing ever? Number 6, the Tempest Engine, 3D audio. Okay, back to super cool good stuff. Remember the first time you experienced 3D audio? Hopefully it was in a cinema where it could be done properly. Gunfire from behind or a plane swooping right over your head and disappearing off over your shoulder. Home setups though are far harder, either because of the money that you need to invest, the neighbor annoying volume you'd like to be at, or even the shape of your room not allowing for correct 5.1 or 7.1 speaker setups. Many gamers have taken to things that simulate 3D audio instead, like premium headsets, and that would be my recommendation as well. However, with the PS5, Sony are openly discussing the Tempest Engine, a 3D audio modulator that's not only designed for everything going forward, but can apparently add 3D flourishes to older titles as well. It's such a big deal because of how much we rely on audio for spatial awareness. Right now, an element might get louder as you approach it, but with full 3D audio, you could walk into a room in-game and be able to tell where every individual noise-making object is without actually seeing them. I would recommend Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice if you want to get a taste of the future right now. That game was recorded with binaural microphones, meaning if you play with headphones or surround sound, its sound design overall encompasses a full sphere of degrees. 3D audio's importance is hard to sell without application, but games have been chasing cinematic experiences for decades now. This is going to be a huge leap forward. Lastly, 3D audio does a ton for accessibility, helping blind gamers experience game worlds way more accurately. Number 5, haptic feedback and other new controller features, the DualSense. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Where on the Xbox side, Microsoft have said their approach to the Series X controller is one of quote-unquote refinement, adding a share button and tweaking very small amounts, Sony are going all out. It reminds me of the PS3's 6-axis controller, something that would assumedly have instilled motion controls into more games across the board, but the PS3 had a terrible launch. Nobody liked the functionality in the likes of Uncharted 1 anyway, and Sony just released another DualShock to keep everybody happy. Going into the next generation though, they're upending things again after the DualShock 4's bulkier design. Now we have the DualSense, a controller that's still pretty hefty, but its namesake refers to the various high-fidelity motors and haptic feedback responses that it can give you while playing. Examples are how a shotgun will feel different to fire than a machine gun, how drawing back a bowstring might result in the analog trigger fighting your finger ever so slightly. Sony's interview with Wired even noted that a character walking on gravel would feel differently to that of snow. Now, the Xbox One's controller has a similar feature too, and its haptic triggers are best shown off while playing Forza or Forza Horizon. Honestly, to me, it tends to boil down to faster vibrations or more intense noises, but there's something super cool about different parts of a controller mimicking the action on screen. By baking this stuff into the controller even further and naming it after those features, the PS5's haptic feedback system should ramp everything up more than ever. Just saying, imagine Kratos' axe throw where the whole controller jolts when you catch it. Bring that on. Oh, and lastly, besides the new microphone I mentioned earlier, the DualShock is replacing the DS4's share button with a create button. Number 4, UHD Blu-ray Drive makes 4K the new HD. That's a lot of abbreviations, but remember the bizarrely confusing time that was the shift from SD to HD? And then how Sony were all, yeah, you'll totally rebuy all of your movies on Blu-ray to play them on the PS3. Because we absolutely did not, and nor did anyone get HD DVDs for the Xbox 360 either. Blu-ray DVDs have very slowly gotten to where Sony wanted, but it wasn't anywhere near as pronounced as everyone buying DVDs with the PS2. Anyway, Sony have realised the error of their ways after even the PS4 Pro didn't include a UHD drive. And the PS5 will finally come with a 4K UHD Blu-ray drive, the very same as the one in the Xbox One X and Xbox One S. This resets the playing field by giving us access to the highest quality of movies available right now, making 4K the new normal. Yes, this point mostly applies to physical purchases of movies and TV shows, but UHD Blu-rays can hold a whopping 300 gig of data, finally freeing up our hard drives from taking so much strain. Also, one of the rarely discussed aspects of the next generation is how much more additional internet bandwidth will be required to stream and download all of this impressive content. Having a 4K Blu-ray drive allows Sony's machine to be more than prepared for what's to come. Number 3, a RealLife AI Companion. I know it's ridiculous, and don't worry, I'll get back to brass tacks facts soon enough, but Sony have filed a patent for this and detailed it, so we're gonna talk about it. Basically, Sony would like you to have some sort of robotic companion in your living room, one that can console you when you're stuck on a game, or more likely, offer you some more microtransactions. Apparently, it's set to react to your emotional state, and the patent makes this thing look like a sentient cloud with huge eyes. I swear I'm not making this stuff up. Sony have totally filed a design patent for a real-world android puppet animal thing that, as they call it, is a new robot technology that watches your gameplay and reacts to your emotions. They say that quote-unquote data shows when a player is being watched, it boosts their motivation for playing. It sounds like our voyeuristic mechanical friend exists as an almost Tamagotchi-like creature that feeds on your happiness while you game. It's positively nightmarish, to be honest, but if true, I can't wait to see rage compilations of people kicking this thing's face off because they lost on Fortnite. Number 2, backwards compatibility is in from the start. Back to the facts, and at time of recording, we know that the PS5 will be fully backwards compatible with PS4 and PS4 Pro enhanced games. While the jury's still out on whether Sony will do the most obvious thing ever and let us play PS1, 2, and 3 games as well, the takeaway point is that the company are entering a generation finally respecting what went before. You may remember the Sony of 2017 saying that, quote, nobody wants to play old games, after years of people being annoyed that the PS4 wasn't backwards compatible. Microsoft then made this a company mandate for the Xbox One, and it got various titles back in the sales charts, alongside a ton of goodwill from gamers. The PS3 only had a select number of SKUs that would play PS2 games, and even the PS2 couldn't play everything released on the PS1. This time around though, it seems like Sony are listening. Backwards compatibility and respecting the huge amount of time and money that consumers have put into your brand is a huge deal. And number 1, the SSD. Arguably the PS5's biggest gun from a hardware perspective, the internal solid-state drive is an absolute game changer. Shown at a secret tech demo conference loading the entirety of Spider-Man on PS4's map in 0.8 seconds, that's only part of the story. The huge change, and it's one that will unfold across the next few years, is how it's going to change the way that games are designed. Those awkward crevice sections in every AAA game, Mass Effect elevators, slow-moving conversation sections, or just the game taking control away from you, how about corridors that bridge open-ended segments, or things like textures popping in? All of this reflects the way that game worlds are coded, rendered, and loaded, and all of that is going to change. Now, it will take some time for new titles to be put into development relying on SSD technology, but the baseline is arriving with the next generation of consoles. That means that pronounced loading is a thing of the past. And there you have it, Sony are playing a very slow hand with the PS5, but every card they're about to lay down should blow us the F away. Let me know which features you're most looking forward to, and if there are any I missed. For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com, please check out the WhatCulture Gaming Podcast, and I'll catch you soon.